Welcome to Zoe Stories. I lost a bet. Now I'm my wife's girly assistant. My name is Ryan Collins, and I used to think I had life all figured out. A good job. A solid marriage. Weekends filled with lazy brunches and Netflix binges. My wife, Emma, was a sharp, beautiful force of nature, an entrepreneur who ran her own fashion startup from home. Meanwhile, I worked as a data analyst for a healthcare firm, spending most of my days hunched over spreadsheets and drinking too much black coffee. Our worlds didn't collide often, but we made it work. At least, that's what I told myself. Emma always said I was too buttoned up, too rigid, too afraid to step outside my comfort zone. She was the kind of woman who wore bold lipstick just to pick up groceries. I wore the same 5 shirts to work and didn't dare change my hairstyle since college. We were opposites. But maybe that's what drew her to me. Or maybe it's what made her want to shake me up. It started with a bet. A stupid, casual bet made over wine and pizza during one of our no-phones Friday nights. Emma had just come back from a fashion shoot, giddy and wild-eyed. She said her assistant quit last minute, leaving her scrambling. I joked that I could do her job blindfolded. She smirked. That smirk, that dangerous, dimpled smile, should have been my warning. "Oh, really?" she said, sipping her wine like it was a loaded weapon. "You think you could handle being my assistant? With the heels, the makeup, the everything?" "Of course," I shrugged. How hard could it be? That was my first mistake. The second was agreeing to the terms. If I lost the game of trivia, fashion trivia, no less, I'd have to spend a full day as her assistant, dressed for the part. That meant full makeup, wig, heels, and one of her tailored outfits. "Don't worry," she said with that wicked grin. "I'll make you cute." I lost in under 10 minutes. It should have been a joke. A funny memory to laugh about later. But the moment Emma pulled out a sketch pad and started designing a look for me, I realized she wasn't kidding. She was thrilled. Energized in a way I hadn't seen in months. This wasn't just a bet to her. It was a challenge. A makeover. A new kind of intimacy. And that's when the fear started creeping in. Because here's the thing, I wasn't unfamiliar with the idea of wearing women's clothes. I'd experimented once or twice in college. Alone. In secret. Never fully, just trying on a dress or slipping into a pair of heels I bought from a thrift store across town. It gave me a rush. A strange cocktail of shame and excitement I didn't know how to process, so I buried it deep. Now, Emma was unearthing that part of me like it was no big deal. And I didn't know how to feel about it. Our home was modern, clean, and almost too organized, thanks to Emma's eye for detail. It smelled like vanilla candles and ambition. Her workspace was the sunniest room in the house, covered in fabric swatches, mood boards, and half-finished designs. I'd always kept my distance from that room. Now I was being marched straight into it. The mood was oddly cozy, like we were playing dress-up as kids. But the undercurrent was electric. "Do you trust me?" she asked, laying out a set of clothes on the dressing table. A silky blouse, a pencil skirt, black pantyhose, and 3-inch heels that made my heart skip a beat. I hesitated. "I guess." She leaned in and kissed me lightly on the cheek. "Good. Then, let's get started." The transformation hadn't even begun, but already I felt like I was standing on the edge of something irreversible. There was a thrill in the air, a tension between playfulness and power. Emma was in charge, and I, for once, wasn't. I wasn't someone who wanted to come out. I wasn't someone who lived a double life, at least, not consciously. I was just a guy who liked control. A guy who thought he knew who he was until he agreed to something as simple as a bet and found the walls of his identity starting to shift. My relationship with Emma was built on laughter and deep talks and late-night takeout. But we'd never explored this. Never gone this deep. I didn't even know if she suspected my past experiments. And yet here she was, dragging that hidden part of me out into the light, smiling like she'd known all along. Did that scare me? Absolutely. Did it excite me too? More than I wanted to admit. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, my mind spinning. What would it feel like to wear those clothes again? To let Emma take control? To see myself through her eyes? I rolled over and watched her sleeping beside me, so peaceful, so sure of herself. And I wondered, what would she see tomorrow when I stood before her? No longer Ryan the husband, but something softer, something in between? I didn't know, but part of me, some deep, buried part, wanted to find out. The morning light was soft, golden, and deceptively gentle. It didn't match the chaos building inside me. I stood in front of the full-length mirror in our bedroom, staring at the neatly arranged outfit Emma had picked the night before. The silky blush blouse shimmered slightly under the light. The high-waisted skirt looked professional, polished, but unmistakably feminine. On the dresser sat a blonde wig on a foam head, styled, brushed, and waiting for me. Emma waltzed in holding 2 steaming mugs of coffee, like it was just any other morning. She handed me one and kissed my cheek, her smile so casual it almost made me feel normal. "You ready, babe?" she asked, sipping her coffee. "Time to become my assistant." I tried to laugh, but it caught in my throat. "I think so." "Good. Then strip." My eyes widened. She pointed at me with mock authority. "Clothes off. You're clocking in soon, Mississippi." The transformation started slowly, mechanically. Emma gave me instructions like she was preparing a model for a shoot. "Start with these," she said, handing me a set of black lace panties and a matching bra. The delicate fabric made my skin tingle with anticipation and embarrassment. As I slid the panties up my legs, I felt exposed, like I was shedding a version of myself and stepping into something new. The bra wrapped snugly around my chest, oddly comforting despite being completely foreign. Next came the padding, breast forms that fit perfectly into the cups, giving me a covetous silhouette. She cinched a waist trainer around me, pulling it tight until my breath came in shorter, shallow waves. Then the pantyhose, smooth and cool, as it slid up my legs. Emma knelt in front of me, slipping my feet into the black pumps. She fastened the ankle straps, her fingers brushing against my skin with electric softness. "You have really pretty ankles," she murmured, not looking up. "Feminine, even." My face burned. Then came the makeup. Emma sat me down at her vanity and pulled up a second chair. "Don't move. This part's my masterpiece." She worked with the focus of a painter. Foundation, contouring, blush, each layer built carefully with purpose. She lined my eyes, added long lashes, brushed on a subtle rose-pink lipstick. I watched myself morph in the mirror, layer by layer, until the man I knew faded into someone else. Someone prettier, softer, unrecognizable, and yet familiar. Finally, she placed the wig on my head, adjusted it, and fluffed the curls. "There," she whispered. "Now look." I turned toward the mirror and gasped. The person staring back wasn't Ryan. She was someone else. Elegant, feminine, almost confident. But behind the eyes, I could still feel the storm brewing. A mix of panic, guilt, and something dangerous. Excitement. Emma handed me a clipboard and a tablet. "Okay, assistant. First task, help me organize the new samples from the supplier. Then we'll prep my shoot schedule. Don't slouch. Smile. And don't call yourself Ryan today." I blinked. "Then what should I?" "Let's go with Riley," she said casually, already walking toward her office. "You look like a Riley." My heart flipped. The next few hours were a blur of swatches, invoices, emails, and voice memos. Emma was in full work mode, barking stylish chaos from one end of the room while I tried to keep up. Surprisingly, I did keep up. The shoes pinched my toes, the bra strap itched, and every time I crossed my legs, the skirt threatened to ride up. But I kept going. And strangely, being Riley wasn't hard. It was freeing. My movements softened. My voice got quieter, more melodic. I smiled more, maybe to please Emma, or maybe because a part of me was waking up. A part I'd kept buried for years. But the fear hadn't disappeared. Every footstep outside our front door made me flinch. Every car that passed made me brace. What if someone came over? What if a delivery driver caught a glimpse through the window? Worse, what if Emma changed her mind? What if she was playing a deeper game, one that ended with me humiliated or exposed? Around midday, while Emma was in a Zoom call, I caught sight of myself in the mirror again. Full Riley. Blouse tucked in perfectly, makeup untouched, heels clicking every time I shifted. And I loved it. But I hated that I loved it. Was I betraying myself? My masculinity? My marriage? Or was I discovering a truth I'd been too afraid to face? Then it happened. The doorbell rang. Emma froze mid-sentence on her call. I stood up, heart racing, blood draining from my face. She muted the mic. I think it's the courier. I ordered new lighting. I stared at her. You want me to? Get it? Just crack the door open. Say, you're the assistant. It'll be fine. Emma, what if they see me? She raised an eyebrow. Isn't that part of the thrill? I didn't move. She smiled, gentler now. You're beautiful, Riley. Trust me. My hands shook as I walked to the door. I cracked it an inch, just enough to see a man in a brown uniform holding a box. A delivery for Emma Collins? He asked, glancing briefly at me. Yes, I whispered. I'll take it. He handed it over, barely even looking at me. No strange expression. No double take. Just normal. I shut the door and clutched the box to my chest, breath shallow. Emma peeked out of her office. How'd it go? He didn't even notice. Emma smiled, proud. Told you. You're pulling it off. But I wasn't sure if that made me feel better or worse. By late afternoon, the air had shifted. We were quiet now. Emma watched me as I typed up her notes, her gaze soft but intense. Do you feel different? She asked suddenly. I paused. Yes. She nodded slowly. I like Riley. She's graceful. Calm. She listens better. I looked away, unsure if it was a compliment or a warning. I think, she continued, that maybe Riley isn't just a costume. My throat tightened. Was she saying what I thought she was saying? Ryan's great too, she said quickly. But maybe you have always been more complicated than you let on. I didn't respond, because deep down I knew she was right. By the next morning, there was no argument. Riley was back. Emma had already laid out today's outfit on the bed. A mauve satin blouse, pencil skirt, pearl necklace, and black pumps. The same wig from yesterday, but with tighter curls. A full set of matching lingerie waited on the dresser, alongside a note in her handwriting. Today we're filming. Smile pretty. My hands trembled as I dressed. There was no discussion. No escape. I could have protested, but I didn't. Maybe I should have. Maybe I wanted to. The moment I stepped out of the bedroom, Emma beamed like a proud stylist. God, you look better than I even imagined. Her compliment made me flush and ache. We set up lights and a camera in the studio room she used for makeup tutorials. I had always stayed behind the scenes, quietly watching her work her magic. But today I was part of it. I was the model. You're gonna demo the new lipstick shade while I talk about it, she said, brushing powder over my cheeks. Just smile, pout a little, tilt your head when I tell you. Think you can handle that? I nodded. Inside, my stomach churned. Say it, she whispered, touching up my lips. Say what? Say who you are. I hesitated. I'm Riley. She grinned. Good girl. The camera light blinked on. Emma turned into her confident influencer self, smiling, radiant, energetic. Hi, beauties. Today I have something special for you. And I've brought someone new to help me show it off. She turned to me, her eyes glittering. Meet my assistant, Riley. I smiled, tight, awkward, but not terrible. As the camera rolled, I posed, smiled, puckered my lips with the lipstick. It felt surreal, like I was watching someone else perform. But I followed Emma's lead. She teased me gently on camera. She's still learning. Don't mind Riley's nervousness. A little shy, aren't you, hon? But behind the teasing, there was something deeper. Admiration. Possession. Maybe even pride. After filming, I collapsed into the couch, drained. Emma sat beside me and handed me a glass of rose. You did really well, she murmured. Better than I expected. Was that going online? She shrugged. Maybe just a story post. A teaser. No one will know it's you unless they're really looking. That terrified me. but also thrilled me. What if someone does figure it out? Emma leaned in close, brushing hair from my face. Then they'll know how beautiful my assistant is. And they'll be jealous. Her words hung in the air. I didn't know whether to smile or cry. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, mind spinning with everything I had felt that day. Wearing the heels, smiling on camera, calling myself Riley. I should have hated it, but I didn't. I remembered how natural I looked in the mirror, how Emma beamed at me, how powerful it felt to become someone else. Someone softer, someone beautiful. Was this still just a bet? Or was I slipping into something deeper? The next morning, Emma caught me staring into the vanity mirror. No makeup, no wig, just Ryan. My bare face.
My messy hair.
Do you miss it already? She asked softly. I jumped. No, just thinking. You should try it again. No camera today. Just for us. I swallowed. Why? Emma stepped behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist, looking at our reflection together. Because Riley is special. And I think she's helping you find the truth you've been avoiding. What truth? She kissed my shoulder. That maybe this isn't punishment anymore. By mid-afternoon, I was fully transformed again. Different outfit, navy blouse, cream skirt, subtle heels. Different vibe, more casual, more real. Emma made me do tasks around the house while dressed, laundry, answering calls, meal prep. She kept calling me Riley, and I responded to it without thinking. The scary part? I didn't feel like I was pretending anymore. I moved differently, talked differently, even thought differently. And Emma noticed. That evening, she called me into the living room. A single chair sat in the middle of the room. In front of it, Emma, holding a makeup remover wipe and a mirror.
Sit, she said.
I obeyed. She stood over me, gently wiping the makeup from my face. Stroke by stroke, Riley disappeared. I watched Ryan return in the mirror, but my stomach twisted. When she peeled off the wig, I felt cold. When the lashes came off, I felt dull. When she undid the bra and removed the forms, I felt empty. I didn't speak. Neither did she. But we both knew something had changed. Emma crouched in front of me, taking my hands. I need to know something, she said carefully. Is this still just a game to you? I couldn't answer. She squeezed my hand. Because I think you're falling for it. And I need to know if Riley is real or just your escape. I don't know, I whispered. I don't know who I am anymore. She nodded slowly. Then we're going to find out. Together. It started with a knock on the door. I was halfway through painting my nails, a soft blush pink Emma had picked out, when I froze. My heart immediately spiked. Emma looked up from the couch. You expecting anyone? I shook my head, panic already flooding me.
No.
She peeked through the peephole, then turned to me, eyes wide. It's your boss. Panic. The word doesn't even begin to describe the thunderstorm in my chest. What is he doing here? I whispered, backing toward the bedroom. Emma grabbed my arm. He said you weren't answering calls. He's worried. I can't let him see me like this, I hissed, my voice barely feminine anymore. She looked me up and down, wig perfectly placed, full face of makeup, black leggings, and a flouncy lavender top that hugged my waist. Then you need to move.
Now.
I darted down the hallway as she opened the door. From the bedroom, I heard their voices. Emma, calm and bubbly. Oh, hey. He's actually not feeling well, bad stomach bug. I've been taking care of him. My boss, Mike, sounded concerned. I called 5 times. Thought maybe something serious happened. You mind if I just check in real quick? Emma hesitated. You really shouldn't. He's in bad shape. Footsteps. Closer. I clutched my chest, breathing shallow, panic overwhelming me. Then an idea. A horrifying, desperate idea. I shoved myself into the closet. Shoes. Hangers. Darkness. I crouched between a pair of Emma's winter coats, shaking. I could hear everything. Mike stepped inside, his voice echoing lightly. Just want to say hi. I've been worried. Emma kept him near the living room,
He'll be fine.
You know Ryan, he's stubborn. And allergic to doctors. Always has been. He chuckled. Does he still drink that weird protein coffee? Emma laughed nervously. Every day. They kept talking. Light-hearted. But I could tell Emma was struggling to keep him from wandering deeper into the apartment. I held my breath as his footsteps approached the hallway. One wrong step. One door opened. And Riley would be exposed. He paused outside the bedroom. I could feel it. The silence hung so heavy it felt like my ears were ringing. Then, mercifully, Emma called his name. Distracted him. Mike, can I ask you something about the firm? Ryan's been worried about layoffs. He answered. They moved back to the kitchen. I exhaled for the first time in minutes, clutching a pair of heels like they were life preservers. 15 minutes later, he was gone. Emma opened the closet door slowly. I looked up at her with wide eyes, makeup smudged from the tears I hadn't realized were falling. She didn't say anything, just knelt beside me and wrapped her arms around me. You were incredible, she whispered. You held it together. I almost died, I croaked. But you didn't. Underscore 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 underscore. That night, everything felt different. The game was over. The bet was a memory.
This was real now.
Riley wasn't just a fantasy or a punishment. She was something I had created. Something I had chosen, day after day. And that terrified me. Emma found me in the bathroom, staring at the mirror, wiping away my makeup in silence. She watched me for a long moment. You don't have to erase her. I paused, mascara streaked down my cheek. If someone else finds out, if I get caught, my job, my life, everything falls apart. Emma stepped closer. So you'll keep hiding her? I looked at my reflection, at the smear of lipstick still clinging to the corners of my mouth. Maybe I don't have a choice. Emma leaned in, her hand resting on my shoulder. You do. The next morning, she took me shopping. Not as Riley. Not as Ryan. Just as us. It was like stepping into enemy territory. I flinched every time someone looked our way. But Emma? She was radiant, confident, unbothered. She handed me a bundle of clothes and pushed me into a dressing room. I think Riley deserves a few outfits that are actually hers. Inside the changing room, I stared at the clothes. A soft lilac sweater dress. A pair of slim jeans with a rhinestone butterfly on the pocket. A lacy bralette. A pair of nude heels with gold ankle straps. I stood there, paralyzed. Then slowly I changed, piece by piece. The dress fit like a dream. Soft, gentle against my skin. I slipped on the heels, heart pounding. Looked into the mirror. I didn't see Ryan anymore. I saw Riley. And she smiled. Emma peeked in and gasped. Oh my God. I froze. What? She stepped closer. You're glowing. She meant it. And I felt it. Something clicked inside me that day. Not just the thrill of dressing up, but the quiet recognition that this reflection, this feeling had always been a part of me. I had just never been brave enough to see it. That night, we filmed another video. This time, I introduced myself.
Hi.
I'm Riley, and I'm helping Emma today with her latest lookbook. I couldn't believe I said it. I couldn't believe how natural it felt. Emma smiled behind the camera, proud. When the video ended, she turned to me and asked, Do you want to make this permanent? My heart pounded. What do you mean? Working with me, as Riley, every day. I didn't answer, but I didn't say no. That night, I dreamed of two versions of myself. One in a suit, drowning at a desk. Tired, gray, silent. The other, Riley, dancing barefoot in a field of lavender, laughing with Emma, the sun on her skin. When I woke up, I knew who I wanted to be. The next week passed like a dream. Emma and I worked side by side, filming, editing, creating content. I got better with makeup. My voice softened. My walk became more natural in heels. But I wasn't pretending anymore. Riley was becoming real. And Ryan? He was becoming a shadow I barely recognized. Every night, Emma would tease me gently. You blink more like a girl now. Did you really choose that necklace yourself? I think Riley's stealing the spotlight. I'd roll my eyes, but inside I glowed. What started as punishment had morphed into a strange, beautiful rebirth. Until one afternoon, everything cracked. I was standing in front of the camera, wearing a peach floral dress with tiny cap sleeves, doing a quick intro for a makeup tutorial. Emma was filming. I smiled. Hey everyone, it's Riley again, and today... The doorbell rang. I blinked. Emma frowned. You expecting something?
No.
She walked to the door. I touched up my lipstick, then checked the camera screen to see how I looked. And then I heard the voice. Familiar.
Deep.
Confused. Ryan. My blood turned to ice. I bolted toward the hallway, but it was already too late. Standing in the doorway was Mark. My coworker. One of the only people at the firm I'd actually liked. He was staring.
At me.
Mouth slightly open. Brows furrowed. He looked from me to Emma. Then back. What the hell? Emma moved fast. She's not available right now. Mark pointed. That's Ryan. Isn't it? What's going on? I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled. He stepped inside. Why are you dressed like that? I couldn't speak. Mark's voice dropped. Are you seriously living like this now? The silence was deafening. Then Emma stepped forward, calm but fierce. She's Riley. And yes, she's choosing this. He turned to me. So you're just throwing away everything? Your job? Your life? Something snapped in me. I stepped forward. My heels clicked on the hardwood. I'm not throwing it away, I said softly. I'm finally living it. He didn't speak for a moment, just stared at me. Then he laughed. A bitter, mocking sound. You're a joke. You know that? You're gonna ruin everything for some weird dress-up fantasy. Emma stepped between us. You need to leave.
Now.
He looked at her.
Then at me.
You're done at the firm, he sneered. When they find out about this, about you, you're finished. He turned and stormed out. The door slammed. I stood in the middle of the room, shaking. Emma rushed over, hugging me tight. You were brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt exposed. Cracked wide open. That night, I couldn't sleep. What if he told the firm? What if Mike found out? Would I lose everything? Emma sat beside me on the bed. You don't have to hide anymore. If I stop hiding, I might lose my job, I whispered. My apartment. My life. Emma touched my cheek. Or maybe you'll finally find your real one. The next morning, an email arrived. Subject: Urgent meeting, 11 a.m.
From Mike.
My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen like it was a death sentence. Emma was across the room. Do you think? I don't know. I dressed in silence. Not in a suit. Not in a tie. But in Riley's softest blouse, black trousers, flats. Makeup light. Hair curled.
Polished.
Feminine, but professional. I caught my reflection before I left. And I nodded. Let them see me. The walk to the office felt surreal. People glanced. Some double-took. I kept my head high. At reception, they hesitated. Then buzzed me in. Mike was waiting in the glass-walled conference room. As I stepped inside, he stood up. Eyes scanning me. He said nothing for a moment. Then, Riley? My heart stuttered. Yes. He didn't sit. Just stared. Then slowly said, Mark came by yesterday. I waited. He said some things. Showed me a clip from one of your videos. I swallowed. Hard. He nodded slowly. I had no idea about all of this. Silence stretched. Then he looked me in the eyes. I don't care how you dress. I care about your work. And your work has been excellent. Tears sprang to my eyes. He kept going. You'll probably face some backlash. But if you want to keep working here, Riley, you can. I didn't remember leaving the room. Just Emma's arms wrapping around me in the parking lot. We cried together. Because the world hadn't ended. Because I had survived the truth. Because Riley was real. And finally free. The apartment was quiet that evening. Too quiet. After everything, the confrontation with Mark, the meeting with Mike, the unexpected acceptance, I should have felt at peace. Instead, my chest buzzed with a nervous energy I couldn't shake. I stood by the mirror, brushing my hair. A soft pink robe hugged my body. My nails, still painted from the last shoot, shimmered faintly under the dim bathroom light. I looked like Riley. I felt like Riley. But I still didn't know who I was. Emma padded in behind me, barefoot, holding 2 mugs of tea. She handed me one. "I've never been prouder of you," she whispered. I gave a weak smile. "It doesn't feel real." "It is," she said. "You lived through your worst fear, and came out stronger." I looked into the mirror again. She was right. But something still lingered. A question. A fear. Do you think people will ever see me as her? Not as Ryan in a wig. Not as some guy playing dress up. Emma placed her hands gently on my shoulders. They already do. We curled up on the couch, sipping tea, half watching an old rom-com. Emma leaned her head against my shoulder. "You know," she said, "when I first made that bet with you, I thought it'd be funny."
Silly.
I didn't think it would unlock something. "Me neither," I said softly. "Do you regret it?" I shook my head. "No," I whispered. "Riley feels more like home than Ryan ever did." A long silence. Then Emma said, almost too quietly, "Do you want to stay, Riley?" My breath caught. "I mean," she continued, hesitant now, "not just for work, but for real. All the time." I didn't answer immediately. My chest felt tight. It wasn't just about clothes anymore. It wasn't a game, or a dare, or a punishment. It was a life. A truth I had tried to ignore. I closed my eyes, and finally said it. "Yes." She smiled. Not shocked. Not even surprised. Just deeply happy. "Well," she said, smirking, "guess I better make more room in the closet." I laughed. Really laughed. And for the first time in a long time, I felt light. But as I walked into the bedroom to change for bed, I froze. My phone was buzzing on the dresser. Unknown number. I picked it up. A single message flashed on the screen. "You've been exposed." I stared. Heart pounding. Another message. "Check the comments on your latest video." I rushed to the laptop in the living room, nearly spilling my tea. Emma leaned over my shoulder as I opened YouTube. There it was. Our latest video. Title: My assistant gets a full feminine makeover. Views: 1.4 million. Comments: thousands. I scrolled. Most were positive. But some, "Wait, isn't that Ryan from Morgan & Hill? LMAO, this guy's a lawyer? Someone needs to send this to their HR. He's living a lie." Crossdressing freak. Men like this are why society's collapsing. My blood ran cold. Emma clicked on the uploader dashboard. And then she gasped. The channel had a strike. Copyright claim. From an anonymous email. The strike wasn't real, but the threat was. Someone was trying to take us down. I sat back, breathing hard. "It's Mark," I whispered. "He said he'd ruin me." Emma's eyes narrowed. "He doesn't get to win." "But what if he does?" I said. "What if everything we've built gets destroyed?" Emma turned to me, voice fierce. "Then we fight. As Riley. Together." I stared at the screen. My reflection shimmered back at me in the black gloss of the laptop. A girl with fear in her eyes, but something else, too. Fire. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe it was just the beginning. What do you think will happen next? Will Riley fight back and protect her new identity? Or will the pressure force her back into hiding? Backhand index pointing down, drop your predictions in the comments. Speech balloon: should Riley go public or disappear before it's too late? Fire. And what would you do if your secret identity was exposed to millions? Let us know. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss part 2 of Riley's story.